Welcome to Better Odds Sports Betting. Here's our hosts, Kiev O'Neill and Kyle Hunter.
What's up, my friends? Kiev O'Neill from Better Odds Sports Betting here to talk a little bit about the massive games coming up this weekend. First, I want to say that Kyle can't make it today because I'm traveling. I'm still in Vegas, and Kyle's also massively busy today. We couldn't quite line up, I'm traveling. I'm just kind of running on some laptop equipment here. But anyways, I want to put on a quick show for you today, but a good one with some good information. Obviously, first want to recap the game last night. Absolutely just ass whipping. I mean, terrible play from the Rams, the Super Bowl champ. The hangover is real, my friends. The hangover was massively real. So there you go. Buffalo just couldn't be stopped the whole second half. It was just an absolute trouncing. The under hit. There was a little bit of pressure on the under kind of before the game, which I thought was interesting. And I didn't have a side or a total. I did tease the Rams, so I'm losing that. And the Allen Robinson play, he just could not get any yards. I mean, Buffalo, even with their receivers hurt, their cornerbacks hurt, blanketed Allen Robinson and Cooper Kupp later. They stopped Cooper Kupp a little bit later, and then just some weird bounces off receivers. It's just the Rams looked like they didn't even really have a preseason or practice much. That Super Bowl hangover thing was completely real. So just wanted to mention that. So wanted to talk a little bit about the games. First, Friday's game. We're going to talk about a couple college ones, the biggest ones, and we're going to talk about the two big NFL ones. Just want to say Louisville versus Boise State. I mean, this is -6 here. I am not thinking that this should be anywhere near a play here. And I said Louisville versus Boise State. I meant Louisville versus Central Florida. So Central Florida is -6. And here's the thing I said about Louisville. If you saw one of my shows earlier this week, they have a massive amount of variance with Malik Cunningham there. I think he could be very good and beat some teams well, but I also think that laying points with him is crazy because he could just be absolutely terrible, like you saw against Syracuse. I mean, he was horrible, throwing picks in the end zone and stuff like that. He's the most high variance player that I have to say. So I'm skipping that one. Boise State, after a tough loss, going to New Mexico. New Mexico is traditionally a bad team, but this is a spread where I have the game very close to where it's made right now. Just let you know. I have Boise State exactly at -17, so not going to do much with that one. Let's move on to the bigger slate of college games here. So I want to talk about Alabama, Texas, -20 in a lot of books, -20.5, total 65.5, as you can see here. Alabama versus Texas is kind of interesting because you have Sarkisian that coached the offense coordinator from Alabama during some of their championships, at least one of them, I believe, a couple of years ago. And then he moves to be a head coach for Texas, probably because he knew that they were going to join the SEC, maybe. That doesn't really matter. The fact is, like, you have Nick Saban versus an ex-coach. Here's the thing. Nick Saban is over 81% on spreads, 22.5 and unders. I mean, the man has just been an absolute beast. Do you want to mess with that? I don't really at all, even though my spread is at 17. I have Alabama -17. So even if it gets to 21.5, which very well could happen right before the game, it's going to suck because I might have to put a little play on Texas. And if my power ratings are going to be over 4 points off, that's my own fault. So that's the way I'm looking at that. But either way, this spread is just too massive, in my opinion, for me to take. Now, a lot of people like Bama first half just because they've been killing the first half, but you're paying a premium for that. It's -13.5 now. 13.5, that should be at like around 27. Of course, there's less first half points scored in general, so it's usually a little bit more than half of what the spread is against when it comes to big spreads anyway. But right now, you just can't take 13.5 when it should be closer to 10.5. I think that is just way too many points there, in my opinion. I lean Bama for the first half just because of how good of a schedule they are. But right now, I have no play on this game, and I'm hoping that I don't have to play it if it gets to 21. Next game, we're going to talk about Pittsburgh versus hosting, actually, I should say, Tennessee. This could be a wonderful game here. Spread's about 6.5 and 6 at some places. Don Best, William Hill 6, DraftKings 6.5. This thing went to 7. I was a little shocked on Wednesday or on a Monday when it did. It probably stayed there for at least a half a day, and then went back to 6.5. Here's the thing: there's a lot of hype on Tennessee and their offense, and Josh Heupel, he can run up scores, blah blah blah. But this is in Pittsburgh, and you can't forget that Tennessee's defense was horrible. They gave up over 30 points to the bottom half of college football, right? Or the top half, I mean. Over the top 65 or 70 teams all scored 30 or more against Tennessee. Tennessee can play fast, which means the other team can score too. And if Pittsburgh does what I think they're going to do, which is run the ball, try to control the clock, they're going to tire Tennessee's defense out. They're going to have more time of possession because Tennessee runs fast. This spread's way too big. This should be a 2-point spread, just because of that. How are you going to trust Tennessee on the road here? Is it a revenge spot? Sure. But how many points are you going to get for revenge? It's way too much. Take Pittsburgh plus the 6.5. There's my play for you for 2 stars. Wide all day. This line is off. Just you cannot overstate revenge. Revenge should be a point or 2 tops if in your power ratings. It's also a spot where Pittsburgh's getting disrespected at home, all the way at Heinz Field. Those are the guys getting disrespected. So that's going to be a fun game to watch. The next game I want to talk about quick is Arkansas. Arkansas has a huge game here against South Carolina. But here's the thing. It's all about KJ Jefferson when it comes to Arkansas, in my opinion. The guy can do it all. He runs the ball. He was their leading rusher last year. He passes the ball. I just see them keep getting lots of first downs against this South Carolina team. I got to tell you, I found it weird when South Carolina lost or actually switched quarterbacks from Spencer Rattler, right? He was the starting quarterback last year. He was benched for Caleb Williams. And Spencer Rattler was a decent quarterback for them, but he got himself in some trouble himself. That first game that they had was against Tomato Can, but he was only 23 for 37, 1 TD and 2 interceptions. That's not good when you're playing a team like Georgia State. And I guess Georgia State's not a Tomato Can, but they're not exactly the top of the Sun Belt, right? So I think Arkansas should be able to put up enough points probably to cover this spread, but my number's 9.5, and this thing is sitting around 8. At 8, it makes it a lot harder for me to play this game, especially because it's really close to my number. But I can see why it's 8 because KJ Jefferson could keep piling on the points on South Carolina there. But South Carolina did get a lot of talent, and if they can fix it, the back door could be open with a guy like Spencer Rattler as well. I'm going to give you a strong lean to Arkansas in this situation. All right, let's move on to the NFL then. And the NFL has an amazing setup this week. I got to tell you, it's so great how it started with the Super Bowl champions on Thursday. They always do that. But then you had the Buffalo Bills that should have been the Super Bowl. Just put a pounding on them. In hindsight, you're like, why didn't I bet the Bills, man? Why didn't I bet the Bills? But what I will say is that it looks like the Rams just didn't prepare or didn't care. And I feel like this year is the Super Bowl hangover type situation with Sean McVay. And it's way too early to say that. I know that, but I just wanted to get back to this. It was just very strange to see all that talent look bad against the Bills. Are the Bills really that good? Should I put them 2 or 3 points ahead of the next team? I'm not ready to do that yet, but I think this was more about the Rams just looking bad and a lot of weird bounces and picks that Matt Stafford threw. But let's move on to a big game, Sunday night game. Dallas hosting Tampa Bay Bucks. Dallas plus 2.5. Total is around 51. This thing was at 52.5 for a while. Then it went down to 50 because of offensive line problems with both teams. And then the receiver problems, obviously. But what I will say is that it looks like Godwin might play now. He's out of the walking boot. So he's a potential to start week 1. And Tampa's offensive line woes are getting a little bit better. Some of those guys that were doubtful are moved up to at least questionable and maybe probable. So that's why the line went up a little bit. Tampa now minus 2.5 when it was closer to 1.5 before. But here's the thing, I don't want to bet a bunch of I don't want to bet the under in this game. I gave out the over a long time ago at 52, and I have a bad number. But I still really strongly lean that side anyway, because I still think that these teams put up a lot of points. Tampa Bay threw over 5,300 passing yards last year. You know, they probably have a little chip on their shoulder from what happened last year. But Tom Brady doing all that weird stuff, marriage problems with Giselle, something I called out a long time ago, actually. I cannot believe that, someone could take off that many weeks and just come into it. And with a new coach like Todd Bowles, at least they still have Leftwich there. I guess there's still some continuity, but it just doesn't feel like there might be that guy like Bruce Arians to bring it all together. It's a weird game. I can't bet Tampa, but I have a strong lean to Dallas at the +2.5. This thing hit 3, I would probably bet Dallas, but Dallas is a teaser leg for me. I think Dak Prescott is a massive type regular season quarterback, and he was like in the run for MVP in my book last year. I know that Amari Cooper's gone, and I know that they're probably not going to get back Gallup for week 1, but they do have some pretty good talent on Dallas. They're going to be running their two running backs. I mean, Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard, which I think Tony Pollard might be almost as good as Ezekiel Elliott, especially the way he catches the ball there. But at least you're getting a guy in Jalen Tolbert that's looking really good in the preseason. You're getting CeeDee Lamb was a top receiver and top pick. I think he's going to help. And Dalton Schultz was fantastic last year. So I think Dallas could probably play action their way into making some nice little plays. The running backs in the flat also hit Dalton Schultz on some fade routes as well. I think that this is still an overlook to me, but more of a teaser leg now for Dallas. Move them up to 2.5 with any other team. You could tease either side of like Cleveland versus the Panthers. I mean, whatever +1.5 you can get. This thing is a situation where the total's like 41 points. I mean, that should be the most popular teaser legger in your arsenal, just because of that total. If you can get them, one of those teams up to 7.5. Baker Mayfield's playing with some revenge here. I mean, obviously, does that matter? Yeah, it's overblown. I admit revenge is overblown, but this is do or die for him anyway. If he can't beat his old team like this with a journeyman quarterback like Jacoby Brissett, that's on him. All right, let's move on to the final game. Seattle is hosting Denver Broncos, and obviously Russell Wilson coming back in. And wow, Russell Wilson going back to his hometown is a perfect finish to the NFL weekend. When I say hometown, I meant his team they won the Super Bowl with. His team he's probably going to retire with, right? I would think. But, I mean, what a crazy line, -6.5. And the reason it's 6.5 is because the DK Metcalf factor. Everyone's thinking that DK could break one. Denver should just blanket DK and just play him normally the way they would play any team. I mean, this is a massive, massive mismatch in talent here. Russell Wilson, does he want to destroy his old team? Probably. But he also could have some nerves coming into this game. So there's really two sides of that coin. A lot of people try to come up with narratives, but you have to understand he's going to his old team. You also have to understand that Pete Carroll knows Russell Wilson probably better than any other coach knows him in the whole NFL football league. Maybe he knows how to beat him. Maybe he knows what to bait him into. I don't know. But as much as Pete Carroll knows, his team still sucks. I mean, they're terrible. They're probably my worst team in my power ratings. They're terrible. And I have this spread around a -7 myself when I make the line. Yes, I'm a little bit afraid of DK Metcalf, having a big game. And obviously, I don't love the fact that this is the first game. It's just most like that high variance game. Anything can happen. Kind of why people are betting Houston down from +8 to 7. It's like conference games are massive when it comes to home dogs, the very first game. But in this situation, I just can't see any talent for Seattle. Where is the talent? I don't know. It doesn't seem to show up, So I find that very interesting. I think that this is another teaser leg, and it's probably going to go to 7. So maybe if you want to tease it down to a half point, that's up to you. But you can match this up with any team that you want. I think Denver wins this game. They're going to win by probably a lot, but it could be a 6 or 7 point victory as well. And that's why the spread's there. I'm going to lean to Denver -5 or -6.5. And I'm going to lean to definitely taking them as a teaser leg. All right, my friends, now to give you your most likely team to win outright. I'm going to give you another big one here. We're going to go Kansas at plus 420. Like I've been saying about Lance Leopold, the guy is an amazing coach. West Virginia does have some extra time coming in here, but still, they lost a heartbreaker against Pittsburgh. And, probably felt that they should have done a little bit better here towards the end of that game. But, I am not a JT Daniels guy. 23 for 40, 57%, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Sure, pretty good. And yeah, you're playing Kansas, but this line's 13.5 for a reason. This ain't blowout Kansas no more. Kansas is something. And I know they played an easy team in Tennessee Tech, but they also blew them out very easily. And Jalen Daniels, the other quarterback, Jalen versus Jaden Daniels, should have a pretty easy time here, in my opinion. I think that I'm just going to find this spread for you to take a look at. 1 second. Saturday. All right, I'm going to share the screen here. Looking at this, Kansas, most books 13.5, totals at 60. So there's going to be some points this game, right? And they think that Kansas is going to score enough points to get this total up to 60. Well, that tells me that they could easily score enough points to cover the spread, but I like them to win it all right here in West Virginia just because of the massive coach and Lance Leopold. I'm just more of a Lance Leopold guy than I am a lot of people in the Big Ten, really. So we're going to go with them as my dog to win outright. My friends, thanks for putting up with me this morning. Obviously in Vegas, had to do this just on kind of a whim with my laptop. But if you have any questions for me or for anybody else, tweet me at theoddsbreakers.com. Everyone have a great day.
Thank you for watching Better Odds Sports Betting.